Welcome to CityWorks, a co-production of the City University of New York School of Labor and Urban Studies and CUNY TV. I'm Laura Flanders. Each month here on CityWorks, we explore the challenges and lived experiences of working people on the job, at home, and in our communities. From the dawn of cinema, the movies have told the story of workers, our toil and trials, our victories and rewards, and the consistent, constant drumbeat for better working conditions. A century ago, the film Metropolis, Fritz Lang's bold masterwork, depicted a class struggle between industrialists and the workers they exploit. Fast forward to today, and the film Union chronicles an unlikely group of worker organizers and their campaign to unionize an Amazon warehouse on Staten Island in New York. When filmmakers turn their lenses on the plight of working people, these stories become real and can inspire action. Our guests today help us to explore the impact that a pervasive anti-worker agenda has on film and filmmaking today. Tami Gold has produced and directed over 20 films, including Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, Labor Struggle in the Post Office, and Out at Work, Lesbians and Gay Men on the Job. Her films have shown at film festivals throughout the world, including Sundance, Tribeca, and the New York Film Festival, winning many, many awards, including the Tribeca Audience Award. Tami Gold is also a professor of film and media studies at Hunter College. Andrew Tilson is founder and director of the Workers Unite Film Festival in New York. The festival, with its annual slate of films from the U.S. and around the world, tells the stories of workers' lives and organizing, and it will kick off its 14th season in October. Andrew Tilson is also an adjunct film professor at SUNY Empire State College. Finally, Pam Sporn is a Bronx-based documentary filmmaker, educator, and activist. Her films include Detroit 48202, Conversations Along a Postal Route, and Cuban Roots, Bronx Stories. Her documentaries have won several film festival awards, including the Cine Las Americas Jury Award for Best Documentary Short. She's taught documentary filmmaking at Hunter College and Brooklyn College. Thank you all for joining us. This is a CUNY family gathering. So glad to have you all.
CUNY on steroids.
I just have to say, Tami, I thought I went to your retirement party a few weeks ago, but not so. You're still here.
I'm still here.
Excellent. I'm so glad about that.
Just finished a film.
Yeah.
We're going to hear about that as well. Different sort of workers we'll hear in just a second. But before we do, Andrew, I just want to give our audience up top at the start of this show, when is the festival? Where is it? Can anybody go? And what's your mission for it this year in 2025?
Our mission for it is to offer films about working people fighting back against this vicious anti-worker agenda that has come into play from Donald Trump. And we roll from October 17th at Cinema Village for a week, and then we go to the end of the month, the 30th, at various places downtown, which will be online and advertised. Anybody can come see. They can go to our website, www.workersunitefilmfestival.org, to get tickets. And they can also see films we show in the second week, most of the films virtually, for people who can't make it to the physical festival.
That's fantastic. And we should say festivals are increasingly important as films fail to pick up for distribution in commercial houses. I'm thinking of the one I referred to in the introduction, Union. Has it found a distributor yet?
It has not found a distributor as far as I know. We actually showed a film about a year ago called Americonned, C-O-N-N-E-D, about the same general topic, but linked it to more about how we've been conned even before Donald Trump came back into power. And so there are a lot of films working in this area, a lot of young filmmakers working in this area now, which is fascinating to see and gratifying to see. After 14 years of doing this, we get more and more films on topic than we ever have before, which is great.
And in principle, people who look at the field from the outside especially say, well, there's many more ways to get these films seen. There's the internet, there's streaming, there's Netflix, there's all those different platforms.
I think it's complex. I don't think it's easier. I think that there's less real estate. Real estate meaning there's less areas for the work to be seen. And there's PBS, and there's HBO, and there's Netflix, but they all have their conditions and production values, which means the nature of what the piece looks like, are much higher now. The budgets are much higher. And also the notion of kind of this energetic, going out there, get the camera, and make films and not worry about a big budget. You mentioned Signed, Sealed, and Delivered. And that was a labor strike. And it was a strike that was not sanctioned by the union. We just ran out there with cameras. We never had the same camera. Every camera we used was borrowed. All the editing was like hustled. We went to Channel 13. They gave us this evening to edit. The results are in the energy and the politics of the piece, because the politics were not negotiated. There was no compromise. Yeah, in some cases we were like, very self-righteous in terms of how we made films and the content and how we told stories. But so much of that right now is diluted. So to me, there's less areas to have the work seen. And on top of that, we need more money. And now, somebody like myself, all the money I've ever gotten is from National Endowment for the Humanities, for the Arts, New York State Council on the Arts, Brooklyn Council on the Arts.
That money is just perceived, if not total zeroing out, then close to it.
Yeah.
There will be people that say, well, what about streaming online? What about just posting stuff on your websites? What about TikTok, for heaven's sake? What is so important still, Andrew, in your view, about the finished film, perhaps a feature-length film or a longer than TikTok video film?
Well, I mean, streaming seems like it is a fantastic outlet for these guys and for all kinds of filmmakers, but it's kind of a rigged game. I mean, and the folks I was just mentioning from Americon, they got several streaming deals, and the algorithm put them right at the bottom of the rotation. So at the end of the day, even though it appears from the outside that there's more real estate within TV, it doesn't really exist that way. And of course, as Tami mentioned, theaters have closed left and right. We used to have like some smaller theaters here and there that would show these kinds of films. We don't have that. And the other thing that's very important is these kind of films, Tami, I think you'd agree, they're important to see together with groups of people. Seeing that up at home, we have a mixed feeling. We use a platform called Eventive, which interestingly, their logo is a raised fist, which is why we chose them. But they're based in Nashville, so I'm not sure. But the thing is, when people watch at home, it's just a different experience entirely. So we really love when we have a full theater and we have speakers and and people can interact.
Yeah.
And the idea for us, our whole thing is educate, motivate, mobilize, et cetera.
What do you think, Pam?
I think it's an and situation. I think that we have to take advantage of all the possibilities of projecting our work. I absolutely being in a room with other people is so important. I remember when, and it opens up more possibilities for meeting people and thinking about how you can use your film. I remember when we showed Detroit 48202 Conversations Along a Postal Route, which is really the story of the city of Detroit through the eyes of an African-American postal worker. We showed it at the Workers Unite Film Festival, and in the audience was a representative from the NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers. And one thing led to another. We ended up showing the film at the National Convention of the Union, which happened to be taking place in Detroit that year. And so we got to show this film to like 3,000 postal carriers. We showed the trailer to the full convention, and then 350 people came to see the full film. So that kind of interaction, meeting people in person and getting excited about how the film can be used, I think is really important. And I think we need to show things online because it's in terms of accessibility, people who have challenges, physical challenges can then watch more films, and it can become a global experience as well. The other thing about just why don't we just put everything up on YouTube for free or TikTok? I think that becomes a question of another kind of accessibility, which is who has the ability to just make a film and put it up for free. We're filmmakers,
Right.
and we work in very small kind of teams, but we do have to pay people. And I've been in a situation where I've been able to use my teacher's salary to pay my rent while I could make a film. But for more working class filmmakers and film workers, I like the term film workers, because there are all kinds of levels, all kinds of things happening that don't get the credit of the director. But if everything just goes up for free, then you're talking about only people who can afford to do this art form have the ability to do that. So I think it's, as I say, it's an and situation.
So we have a lot to pick up on when we come back from break. You're watching CityWorks. We'll be right back.
You men want to work?
Sure we want to work. Where's it at?
Tomorrow's county. Fruit's opening up. Need a lot of fruit pickers.
You doing the hiring?
Well, I'm contracting the land.
What you paying?
Well, can't tell exactly yet. About 30 cents, I guess.
Why can't you tell? You took the contract, didn't you?
That's true, but it's key to the price. Might be a little more, might be a little less.
All right, mister, I'll go. You just show us your license to contract. Then you make out an order. Where and when and how much you're going to pay. And you sign it and we'll go.
Now listen, smart guy. I'll run my business my own way. I got work. If you want to take it, okay. If not, just sit here, that's all.
Twice now I fell for that line. Maybe he needs 1,000 men. So he gets 5,000 there and he'll pay 15 cents an hour. And you guys will have to take it because you'll be hungry. If he wants to hire men, let him write it out and say what he's going to pay.
Welcome back to CityWorks. We're talking about films about work life and the lives of workers. And we're talking about a festival. Andrew, just remind people, the Workers Unite Film Festival is coming up 2025 in October.
October 17th to the 30th. The first week is at Cinema Village at 22 East 12th Street.
All right. Well, part of what we're reflecting on here is a little bit the history of documentary filmmaking and then filmmaking around workers. I am going to ask you at some point, what's your favorite worker-related film? But before I do, I just have to say, I love all of you, and we all do and have done amazingly important work. This is not what the filmmaking business looks like today. I'm talking race and age specifically. What would you say you're seeing out there that's exciting you, Tami? You teach generations and have taught who are going into this field.
What do I see? I see more expression coming from young women, women of color, queer women. So I think that queer people, I think that within the landscape of filming, there are definitely more voices. It's kind of like anything else. It's kind of like the academy. When I started teaching at Hunter College, there were no women. I mean, it was the boys' club. And I even was part of very private conversations where we had the chance to hire people of color and more women. And the word was, remember, they'll get tenure and we will live with them for the rest of our lives, in some cases longer than our marriages. And they ended up hiring people who look like them, white men. And the same thing we saw in the film world, and I think that's changed a lot. Both narrative and documentary. We've seen such a wonderful example of the power of diversity and making space, and the messages are different.
Film, different from podcasts, different from books, different from TV articles. If we're talking about covering, inspiring, reporting on, challenging the labor movement and workers and our work structure in this country today, why is film so important to you, Andrew?
Film is, I think, one of the most important ways of reaching people emotionally. And I think advertisers have known for years how to hit the hot button that make people even vote for somebody like a Donald Trump. And the progressive side of things, we haven't been as good. We try and intellectualize it to a level that sometimes the message gets lost. And I think I actually teach at another labor school, at the SUNY Empire School. I teach trades apprentices, plumbers and electricians, to make short 6-minute films about their working and union life. And in the first year, it was the first year of Donald Trump coming in, and a lot of them voted for Trump because that's the Staten Island, that's their... By the end of the term, most of them had come up to me, I would say 70%, and said, wow, now we get it. We see the difference here. We actually...
And what had changed them?
One of the things that we show is a film called Class Dismissed that's in chapter parts, and it talks about how TV framed the non-existence of the working class, how they kind of wiped the working class out of TV and films. And it opens their eyes to see the power of media at every level, films, TV, radio, and how they exercise entirely what it meant to be working class. Everybody suddenly was middle class, had to have a
Or
car
above.
or above,
Severance.
TV, refrigerator. It's changed now with streaming. It's changed with more outlets. But when we were coming up, there were 3 or 4 TV networks. They totally controlled it, and that's what we see, a big difference now. I was just looking at the sheet for the new season, and we have films from all over the world, from every kind of director. We have a film called Bang Bang about the guys in China who carry stuff on their backs, and talking about how that's gone away, but there's still several hundred of them who do it.
Well, you're inviting me to then ask you, what's your favorite labor-related film?
Well, I tell you, you mentioned it before. I think Harlan County, which was one of my favorite all-time films.
Barbara Koppel's film?
Barbara Koppel, we just showed it again online with American Dream, another famous film of hers. But the thing about Harlan County, and looking at it again, seeing it recently, is that it holds up, and it holds up emotionally, and the brilliance of how she shot it and what she did, it resonates today. And that, again, is the power of film, right? To make you kind of like, damn, that's right. You know, we won't accept this. And that's what we try, that's what we look for when we look at film.
All right, so a quick favorite film, Tami?
My favorite film is a Brazilian film, and it's called They Don't Wear Black Ties.
Wow.
And it's a film that deals with a working class family, but the navigation of the environment in terms of labor struggle, but also the streets, and about young kids being seduced to the streets. And what it always meant to me is that it's that clash between, my father's a worker, and I gotta work that hard? I'm gonna find another avenue. And I've seen this play out in other areas of work, where working class people who've seen the family struggle so hard look for alternatives to change their class experience. So that's my favorite movie.
All right, what about you, Pam?
Thanks for reminding me of They Don't Wear Black Tie. That was a great film. There's so many, it's so hard to tell, but I think Mate One was a very important film for me to see, because it was, I think, one of the earliest films that I saw that got really a lot of play in the theaters, and it just showing the strike, and they were black and white people in that strike together, and that you could make a film like that and have a mass audience. It was very inspiring.
I'm racking my brain for the director. We know him so well.
John Sayles.
John Sayles.
John Sayles, yeah. John Sayles, yes.
Well, I would throw up any of the movies. I mean, I would suggest any of the movies by Mike Lee about working class struggles in the UK over generations and decades.
Loach,
We're in a kind of celebratory mood right now, and we could talk about a lot of films out there. But I have to bring us back to where we are, which feels like so many struggles are either getting underreported or misreported, or people are feeling terrified to even engage in them. You've got creative makers being basically, you know, red-baited out of businesses or McCarthyited out of business, out of their work. Media afraid. You mentioned public television earlier. Very afraid of losing their federal money, and what will they do to try to keep it? These are scary times. Do you encourage people to stay in this business, Tami?
That's putting me on the spot.
It is indeed. That's why you're here. This is called The Spot.
What I think is that these are very deep personal questions. And man, I hustled. Nothing came easy. Like, in fact, before I came here, I had a session with a therapist, and that's what I talked about. My experience has been hard, and I'm privileged that I got a job as a professor, and I had a steady salary. But my experience in the field has been very, very hard. It's been always enormous work to raise money. Now it's harder. So what would I tell students? I would tell students, absolutely, do it, but it's not a fancy job. You're going to carry things. You're going to sweat. You're going to have to, like, tell people, I'm going to put the lavalier on. Can I touch you? I mean, it's all that kind of stuff. But it's not fame and fortune. That's the point.
Do you think filmmakers are fighting back in this context, in this climate?
I think that young filmmakers are still going out there and making their films, definitely. I mean, I was going to read you, we show a lot of shorts exactly for this reason, that it's expensive to do a feature film. And what we tell them is to go out and do a 5-minute film, do a 10-minute film, we'll screen it, and it's your ticket to at least get seen what you can do. We see a lot of bravery out there, honestly, the last couple of years, and even during the first Trump term, people kept going out there and shooting stuff and putting it together. I think Tami's advice is fantastic, and that's exactly the point. It's a personal decision. Mm-hmm. You're not going to become rich. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be, you know, you're doing it because it's a labor of love, you know, and you have to figure out how you're going to get by and do it. And we have a young man who came to us very early on, Victorious DaCosta, who made the movie about the Yusuf Hawkins shooting, Storm over Brooklyn, that was on HBO. He came to us with a 12-minute film called Can't Wear a Wig Forever. That was about a friend of his with 2 masters in a technical field. She was laid off, and when she goes to interview, she cannot get a job. And her friend says, she had cornrow hairdo. And she says, why don't you wear a wig? She wears the wig, and she gets the job, the next job. And of course, she can't wear a wig forever. Wow. We helped him. We have editors and people work with us. We helped him edit it down to 4 minutes and put it in front of a major documentary about the whole history of the women's liberation movement. And he got seen, and somebody picked him up, and he ended up doing several things on HBO, ESPN, and he's a creative force, unbelievable.
I'm coming to you on this question about what do you say to people about stay in this field. I say stay in this field because of the extraordinary people you meet. I mean, one thing I haven't said here that is one of my old say it so often things, but media is a plural noun. You do all this work together. I mean, sometimes you're doing a whole lot on your own, but you do it with other people. And that is a place to do creative work that is different from sitting at home on your phone editing something for TikTok. So in so much as the audience, I think, really benefits from being together, making media benefits from doing it in collaboration with others, I think. So I say yes to it.
We're storytellers. We have stories to tell. We have connections to family stories that are important to tell, and we'll get it done however we get it done.
So I would love to give you a final word, Tami, and I don't want you ever to retire, but you have seen a lot of this business and you're still teaching people. What do you think is your priority, your curiosity at this moment? There's so many projects you can do. How do you pick which ones you do?
I often start with the concept of police, because police is, to me, the foundation of they are the implementers of a lot of injustice. And we can go to the history of police, but I don't want to do that on television. So policing, to me, is what's going to ground my work. So somebody's going to say, well, how does sex work relate to police. So the film that we just finished, Alex Vitale and myself, is about sex work. It's through the lens, however, of decriminalization, which is about the police.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, I have a foundation of how I see my work. And it's really grounded in what I learned from living in New York City. And that's about the aggressiveness of policing, where they do not have to be. So,
So find your foundation. I think that's a great message to all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tami Gold, Andrew Tilson, and Pam Sporn. Wonderful speaking with you. And that is it for CityWorks this time. If you have comments or questions, write to us at cityworks@slu.cuny.edu. And be sure to download the nifty CUNY TV app where you can watch this show and all of CUNY TV's programming. For CityWorks, I'm Laura Flanders. Thanks for watching.